my studio. It's a little attic room in a tiny little converted schoolhouse, and this attic is very narrow. It's about maybe 4 feet across, and I don't know, I've only got the use of half of it actually for this, which is only about maybe 7 feet. So I'm in a 7 foot by 4 foot space with all my materials. I'm sitting on my compressor, and this is where I have been doing my acrylic painting. So I bet you that almost every one of you is going to have a space bigger than the space I've got to paint in. So everything that I show you, you're going to be able to do in it inside your house in a small space, given that you have a window. Now I have a window, and I have a fan in that window. I'm going to show you how to make sure that you have adequate ventilation, because you don't want to do this in an enclosed space. That would be a bad thing. This acrylic painting is not as bad for your health as the spray painting, because there are no solvents involved. We're using water-based acrylics, but you still don't want to inhale paint. That would be a dumb thing. And there are some sealers and mediums and things like that that I don't know what's in them. You don't want to breathe this stuff, so you want to have, the first step is to have adequate ventilation. And I'll show you how I have hooked that up. And you still need to use protection and a mask, whatever you need. So I'm going to show you how I control the airflow in here through the use of fans, just regular wall fans and window fans. And one way you can check that is by turning on all your fans and lighting some incense and seeing where the smoke goes. So I'm going to do that for you so you can see. All right. I'm going to turn on my fans. I've got a little, just a little fan down here. It's like a little, you know, feel free to have a bigger one, but since I'm in such a tiny little space, this is what I'm working with. I've got this behind me. It's behind me, and it's pushing the air in that direction. And in that direction, there's a window. And there's a fan that is placed backwards in that window, a window fan placed backwards so that it sucks the air out of the window, and the window is slightly open. Now, even in the winter, I can leave it slightly open when I work, and it sucks the air out, and it doesn't get too cold in here because the heat rises because I'm in an attic. So whatever your situation is, you need to figure out a way to create an airflow and test it. So that's our first step, is to test our airflow. So I'm going to turn on my window fan, and I'm going to show you how to test the airflow. Alright, so what I've got here is sweetgrass, but you can use any kind of incense you want. You might as well purify the space with some sweetgrass smell while we're testing the airflow. So just light it, and you can see that the lighter actually goes out a lot because of the fan, because there's so much airflow. So I'm going to hold it up here and get some smoke going. Now you can test this with whatever kind of smoke you please. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to use sweetgrass, but feel free to test it with whatever you like to smoke. Get this. Ooh, it smells so good. Never burnt sweetgrass. I highly recommend it. It's a sweet, lovely smell. Alright. And there's some smoke. It's really good. Okay. Now, just watch where that smoke goes. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the smoke is heading towards my window, and it's going out my window pretty quickly. Now if I hold it down here where I'm painting, let me see if I can move the camera so you can see. I'm going to hold it here in the space where I'm painting, get some smoke going. And I can, from here I can really see. You probably can't see because I don't think the smoke is showing up on the video. But I can see the smoke is going up and out the window because the fan is pulling it there. So that's how I know that when I'm painting, the air is going to be taking the overspray away from me. Okay, so I've turned off my fans because they're pretty loud and I want you to be able to hear me. So get something that smokes, something that you smoke or something that smokes. Turn on all your fans, get some fans, you know, and make it so that the airflow starts where you are, and from behind you there's a fan blowing it away from you, blowing it towards a window, and in the window there's something that sucks it out. That's one way of doing it. Now if you don't have a window and you have to paint in a space with no window, you can get a spray booth. There's a company called TCP Global which has pretty decently priced spray booths. You can look them up on Amazon. Look up spray booth, and what they are, these little portable things where you can spray paint inside, and it has its own little fan and it'll suck up the overspray. It's much better if you have a place that like has some airflow and you can direct your air with some fans, because it's kind of hard to work inside the little spray booths at times, but that is a solution if you can't do the fans in the window. Always have some way of getting rid of the overspray. This is water-based, but it's not something you want to inhale. It's like inhaling dust, you know, it's just not good for you. Okay, but no solvents. Hey, so we're making progress. Okay, so that's step one. Now, I still use, especially if I'm working on something big, I'll still use a mask. It's just a regular spray paint mask with organic vapor cartridges, or, you know, a dust mask if I'm working on something that's, you know, not really too bad. Sometimes for sanding, when we prepare our canvas, if we want to work on canvas or some other kinds of paper, I'll use a dust mask. You know, take care of your health. Don't inhale paint, and no matter even if it's water-based. I'm working on the floor here, you know, just the same as in spray paint. And what I've done is I've just brought a piece of wood up and I put it on the floor because I don't have a lot of space here. I squeezed it in between my compressor and the floor, and I'm painting on this. Now, should I want to paint something that's bigger than this piece of wood, I would have to go get a bigger piece of wood. But yeah, I recommend having a board to paint on. Just makes things easier for cleanup and for moving things around. Let's see, what else? A hairdryer. You're going to need a hairdryer. One of the things with working with spray paint is that the layers dry, and so you get a layered effect. When you work with the newspaper, you take off one layer and not the other. With the acrylic paint, we have to simulate the layered effect. Now the hairdryer really helps you do that because it lets you dry things as fast as you want or as slow as you want. If something's not drying fast, instead of taking a lighter to it like we would in spray paint and catching it on fire, just turn on your hairdryer. Now, when we go into how to prepare our paper for spray painting with the acrylic paints, you're going to see that I have created a preparation which makes it so that things dry fairly quickly, that it's fairly absorbent, so that when we use the hairdryer, we don't have to sit there for a long time. It should be pretty quick. Depending on the airbrush you use, you may or may not need a airbrush cleaning pot, because some of the brushes between colors you want to get rid of whatever color is left in there, and you want to stick it in here, or you want to rest the airbrush. I'm going to go into the different types of airbrush. You may not need this, but this is sitting around. Let's see, I've got a whole bunch of different papers here, things that I can use to make stars, make Saturn rings, block things off, just, you know, scrap paper. And let's see, what else have I got? I've got my brushes and my spatulas, the little tubs, and I've got some cans and cans. This is like a smaller can. This is one of the spray paint cans, and I'm using these to make the planets. Now sometimes, if you like to work with high pressure, some of the plates, if they're not heavy enough, will blow around because you're working with high pressure air. So these ones, they're not going anywhere. You can put this on a painting to make a planet, it'll stay there. So I recommend having some cans around. you know, and you can use your regular plates too. Should be fine. I have a bag. I put my garbage in here because I don't have much of a big space. You should, you know, even if you're painting spray paint, you have a bag. So you want that for your garbage. I think that's our basic setup. So there'll be a lot more details about paint and paper as we go. But that's getting your room set up. That's your basic thing.